Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me today. I just wanted to do a little mental health update because you can read by the title. I know it sounds like a very dramatic title, but I have struggled with life-ending thoughts for a lot of my life, and I talk about those experiences very openly in my actual life and on camera, and they've almost become a very open and comfortable thing that I talk about with people in my life, and I forget how stigmatized mental health is, and mental illness I should say, and that these conversations aren't happening in a lot of people's worlds. But yeah, I definitely have a relationship with these suicidal thoughts. I kind of like to call them life-ending thoughts rather than suicidal thoughts because that word in itself just feels so heavy. And a lot of people that I know have also struggled with life-ending thoughts at some point in their existence, and at varying degrees, of course. Like, I'd rather die than go to work today, or it's rooted in something much deeper than that. And a lot of times when it is, something much deeper that's causing the thought, people feel so ashamed and feel so scared and so like they're wrong and gross and bad for having these thoughts, when in reality they're just a result of some experience, and that's how your body and mind is needing to cope in the moment. And definitely tell someone if you are having life-ending thoughts now, or if you feel out of control of the thoughts in your mind. I have learned to accept them and talk about them openly and not be ashamed of them, because I know that there was a part of me that was hurt and started resorting to life-ending thoughts as a way to cope because it made me feel momentarily safe, like I could escape from them. And I fully recognize that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see why those are there, but I'm not going to indulge those thoughts anymore. And that is what I've been in the process of really healing from and doing for the past 3 years of my life. I feel like I've shared so much of my experiences in this world on YouTube, and why stop now? I have definitely been using yoga and meditation and breath work to help myself heal very strongly for the past 2 years, and one of the biggest things that meditation allows us to do is have a moment between having a chaotic experience and immediately reacting to it. Meditation will give us a moment to walk around the experience, to see it from every angle, and then choose wisely how we're going to respond. And for me, that started out with not cutting myself. That was a really big coping method. Anytime I would get anxiety or have these life-ending thoughts that I just didn't know where to put the energy, and so that was my immediate response. Starting about 2 years ago, I was able to use my breath to anchor into the present moment and out of the illusion of my mind and choose a more wise reaction. I really like the idea of my wise self, because I think we all have that voice inside of us that's like, no, you shouldn't do that right now, or you should take this path because this makes you feel good, or you should use these words of kindness rather than these ones that is your ego that is hurt. Like, we all have that voice inside of our head. It's like the devil and the angel, and so my wise self is that angel for me, and my guide and my intuition. And so connecting to the breath in those moments of panic really helped me listen to my wise self and decide to go for a walk or tell someone how I was feeling. And whenever I tell someone how I feel, if I am feeling down, if I'm feeling happy, if I'm feeling anything, it's another thing that anchors me into the present moment, because it is what I'm experiencing, and it almost like relieves me of that feeling at the same time, or at least when it's a heavy feeling, it releases the burden of it when I can speak it out loud and realize that it's separate from me and just something I'm experiencing. And that's why I love truth and honesty, which sounds weird. I love honesty, but I love being able to speak openly and honestly to the people in my life about how I'm feeling. It really does anchor you into the present moment, where everything has the space to be healed no matter what you're feeling. If you can confront it and look at it and have a conversation about it, you are allowing it to be played with and molded in a way so that you can begin to heal that part of yourself. I think I used to lie about how I was feeling a lot, at least when I was just out of high school, and I really didn't know how to talk about my sadness or the fact that I hated myself, and I would pretend to be happy all the time. And now my experience is so different. Like, I can go to a party or a friend's house or just have some interaction with someone, and when someone is asking me how I feel, I can answer so honestly, and it's such a beautiful thing to do. Like, oh yeah, I'm feeling a little down. Even just saying, yeah, I'm feeling sad today. That is so acceptable to do, and yet for most of my life, I would always just lie about it and put on this good face. And I don't know why I would do that, but I think a lot of us do that. And so now it's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling a little down about these changes in my life and I'm just questioning myself, but I know it's gonna be okay, and I'm just trying to, you know, call in the light in my life or whatever the conversation is. But it just feels so healthy, and I say this all the time, but the less we repress, the more psychologically healthy we are, and I just refuse to pretend to feel a certain way or put on a certain face or a front, and that has also really helped. I guess in this moment right now, I'm feeling really grounded and have a lot of clarity on the version of myself that I am creating right now. I feel somehow like washed up by this new wave of energy, and I am riding it and seeing where it's going to take me, but I feel this renewed sense of self. Of course, traveling does that. I just got back from traveling all through Europe, and one of the biggest things I was able to do was really learn to depend on myself in a way that I honestly haven't for a long time. And people tell me all the time how much happier I seem, how much better I'm doing, how capable I am, and people are always empowering me with their words. And I really appreciate that, but I had to show myself and not only understand it on the mental level, but on the physical level, like have a moment of questioning or a moment of doubt or a moment of anxiety and fully be able to cope with it on my own. And I traveled all throughout all these different little towns and cities all on my own, and I got myself around and I didn't panic, and I learned how to be such a positive voice for myself and be my own best friend. And throughout that whole trip, I was connecting to my wise self, and just I connected to a part of myself that I did when I had first started my spiritual journey, that was so excited to be positive and was so excited for when the fears would come up to use that as a chance to anchor light into that moment. And that's really what I was able to do, and my whole body, my whole my heart just felt so touched by that experience, and I just felt so empowered, and that was so special and so important for me to feel. And the whole reason I went on that trip was kind of like a bucket list, 21 years old, like I'm gonna take myself through Europe kind of thing. For some reason, this like Euro trip was something that I idealized in my head for so long, because I've seen so many people do it when they just get out of college or they do exchange programs in Europe, and it was like this like pinnacle of something that I wanted to be able to experience for myself. And so it was really, really special. And now that I'm back in New York, I feel so ready to use all of those lessons and teachings and confront even more of those fears that are coming up. Like, I get afraid of winter. Like, I get nervous about winter because I do have seasonal depression, and I know it gets cloudier and I don't get enough vitamin D and I don't go outside or be social as much. And a lot of times I do leave New York for the winter time, which is such a luxury to do. But this year I'm like, why am I afraid of the elements? Why am I afraid of the seasons? It's just nature, you know? Why am I running away from it or escaping it in any way? Or like, why do I get sad just because it's a gloomy day? I know there's one element to it where it's like you're genuinely just not getting enough sun, but then there's this other thing where it's like rainy days aren't bad, gloomy days don't have to be bad days. It's all up to what experience I'm creating for myself internally. And so I'm challenging myself, which really isn't that big of a deal, and it's gonna be really fun, I think, to just be here in New York for the whole entire winter. And I also am moving into a new apartment in like 2 weeks because my partner and I recently split up. I don't even like that word because we're still friends and so intermingled in each other's lives. And I'm not going to share too much about that because I never share my relationship stuff online. I think I posted one video with my partner like a year ago and everyone dissected it and had these crazy assumptions just because of our body language or what he was wearing, and it was like way too much. So I am not going to speak too much on that, except that I will say that it was the most comfortable, supportive, magical, beautiful relationship that I've ever had, and it was really difficult to think about stepping away from that. I think we all are always going to need that support and that comfort and that love, but I couldn't deny this feeling in my heart that just knew that I needed to grow on my own. And I think that's what relationships should be all about, is growth, helping each other evolve to the highest version of yourself. And that is what I decided to follow and listen to within me. And it was really scary, and I'm still processing it, and there's all these other little things, but I feel a little bit of fear, or not even fear, but just sadness about that, and letting go of something that was so beautiful. And sometimes I question, why is this happening? Is this necessary? But it is, because there's so much love on the other side of this fear, and the other side of this comfort, that I need to find for myself, and not just constantly having someone who believes in me so deeply tell me that I'm so full and that I'm everything that I need to be in the moment. I just need to feel that for myself and affirm that to myself. And I'm gonna cry right now, because yeah, it's really a journey. I still struggle to feel like I'm worthy of love, basically. And anytime that he would say something that was very loving and very true, I would be like, no, that's fine if you think that, but that's not true. I'm not this person that you think I am. And it's something that I'm really working through, is feeling like I am worthy of love, and I'm a good person. It's okay to think that about yourself. And in most circumstances I can, but in romantic relationships, it's I always try to find something about myself that isn't good enough for the person, and I think that can get very tiring. Yeah, I really don't want to get too much into that. I actually recently decided to start seeing a therapist again, which I haven't done for 3 years, but I know that it's going to help me. I just know it's going to be good for me. So I'm doing that, and I stopped seeing my therapist 3 years ago because I felt so good that I felt like I didn't need to see her anymore, which is a big mistake. You shouldn't stop seeing your therapist just because you feel happy, because your therapy session is a major part of probably what led you to that happiness and that stability. So if you want to keep that flowing, you should probably keep doing the practices that made you feel so good in the first place. And that's something that I've been really honing into lately. And I also learned that in high school with meditation, because I realized, wait, why am I only meditating when I'm sad? And so I started meditating when I was happy, and my happiness just grew so strongly. And I remember coming up from my room in the basement feeling so high vibrational, all my cells buzzing, and being like, you guys, we can't just meditate when we're sad. Meanwhile, I don't think that anyone else in my family was meditating, but I was just so excited about my little realization that I had made. And I wanted to share that with you guys, because it's true. It's so important to stick to the practices and rituals that make us feel good, even when we don't need them, because it's not about relying on them, but it's just about setting ourselves up to feel good every day. And when I was really depressed, my therapist described it most people wake up and they're right here. They're just at a normal level. Things aren't too good, things aren't too bad. They're just I'm living life. But you, he told me, wake up and you're down here. You wake up at this point where everything immediately feels so heavy from the start, and you have to just get yourself to this base point. And one of the things, this is a weird analogy, but yeah, one of the things that kept me at that base point and waking up feeling anything is possible, I can choose how I feel today, is being consistent with my meditation, my yoga, having positive people in my life who I can share my feelings and thoughts and soul honestly with, and who can do the same with me. All of that just keeps me at that place where I wake up every morning and it's oh yeah, I'm creating my day today and how I react to everything in my external reality. And going from there, it's just, you just setting yourself up for success. I don't know why I think of things in that way, but I think because when I went to the mental hospital when I was in senior year of high school, they checked me out a week after I was admitted, and they just gave me a piece of paper and was what are your coping methods? Let's make you a little plan of action so that if these things happen again, you know how to deal with them and you don't have to come back here. And that was something that I really use very frequently. Anytime I'm sad for too many days in a row, I'm really wait, whoa, what do I have to look at right now? Something in my reality has to change, and then I'll feel better. And instead of attaching all these stories to it, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm going downhill again. Things are getting out of hand, and feeding this really negative scary narrative, I'm like, oh wow, okay, I didn't even realize I must have been neglecting my meditation, or I haven't actually made plans with anyone in a whole week. Like, I'm really isolating myself. I didn't even realize it. And then I'll make plans with someone, and then I will get a bunch of green, fresh veggies from the farmer's market and cook myself nourishing meals, and then I'll do a bubble bath, and I'll just change the way that I'm treating myself, and then I feel better inside. And I truly think that it's so easy, especially if you've struggled with depression or suicidal thoughts a lot, to go into those negative narratives and be like, oh, I'm just out of control of what is happening to me right now as I'm falling into my own void. But in reality, you can use it as a way to question what part of your life and what part of your routine that makes you feel good that you've been neglecting. So, maybe you've been sleeping in every day and then waking up at 11 a.m. and feeling like a slacker, and that like sets the tone for your whole day, or something like that. There's that quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so I make a plan of action if I have too many days in a row where I feel down, and that has been really, really healthy. I think that's part of being your own best friend, is doing that. Even calling yourself by name, like, hey Hitomi, what's going on? Like, be real with yourself right now. What are you doing? And there's nothing to be ashamed of or nothing to fear that you feel. Everything that you feel is so valid, but something to be questioned, something to be looked at. And I have people tell me that they have bad thoughts, and I don't even like the idea of having bad thoughts, because all of our thoughts are shedding light on something within us that perhaps needs to be healed, especially the darker ones or the scarier ones. I think that they should be sent love. Like, anytime there's a part of myself that wants to be unkind to myself, I'm like, wait, but why do you feel that way? Like, where is that coming from? I love you, don't say that, and I really try to send love to those thoughts of mine that aren't so supportive, that aren't so kind and graceful. And I have those little conversations within my psyche of like, where is that rooted? Because I know that that's not true for me. I feel like it often comes up when I'm not sure if I'm capable of doing something, like some new kind of work, or when I'm looking in the mirror and I'm just like, if I do this, then I'll be more worthy of love. And I'm just like, no, why do you think you have to change anything to be worthy of love? Love is all around you, and love is embracing you in every moment. It's kind of funny to have those conversations in your head, but they are really important, because our thoughts are really creating our realities. And I think a lot of us have certain negative beliefs about life as well that we don't realize we're carrying around and that are shaping our realities. I think our beliefs are the guiding forces of the energy that creates our life. And I know that's a mouthful, and I'm a little bit pseudoscience-y, but I don't care. I'm a pseudoscience-y bitch, and I love it, because energy is a real thing. Is all there is. When I was in Bali in my first yoga teacher training, we were asked to write down all the core limiting beliefs that we have. What beliefs do we have about ourselves and about this world that are preventing us from experiencing the joy and beauty of this reality to its fullest? And I definitely had a lot of them having to do with worth and love and fear that things wouldn't be okay. And we had to reinforce all the positive beliefs that we had. We wrote down the exact opposite of the negative beliefs we had. And then we did this meditation where we saw our life unfolding with all of the positive beliefs and the most positive outcome that we could have for ourselves. And we witnessed that, and I cried so much, and I was like, wow, I really can make this happen for myself, but it's not going to happen ever if I don't even believe it's possible. What beliefs do you have about yourself and about life that are holding you back in some way, and where do they come from, and can you release them? Allow yourself to hope and believe in a reality that is so beautiful and so nurturing and nourishing in every single way. I think that's really important, just to believe that it is possible to feel good, especially with mental illness. When you're day to day dealing with anxiety or sadness, that vision of your most beautiful reality and the feeling of lightness becomes a distant memory. But I'm asking you to call it in right now if you are struggling. Remember what it feels like to wake up and feel light, and envision what it would feel like to live your life as if you didn't struggle with these things day to day. And what can you do to bring yourself closer to that experience? But that being said, I'm in a place within my life where I really know how to speak to the sadness or speak to the anxiety, and it really just comes up so much less because I can be so honest with myself about where it's coming from and how to change my energetic state. And I guess I'll get into that. Like, my coping methods right now now have been a lot of using my voice. I do this every morning. I do some chanting. I'm in my underwear right now. They match my shirt. This shirt has little beads on it. It's so cute, and I thrifted it in London. But anyways, I've been loving doing chanting in the morning, and this is very simple. I have this on my app. It's, I think, called the waterfall chant because it's really nice to do with a lot of people. But I simply chant the Ao mantra, breaking it down into Ah, O, and of course I use my whole exhale chanting ah. I do the whole thing, and I will chant each tone as many times as I feel called to, and it's almost like vocal toning, but it really opens up my heart. I feel like I'm so much more confident speaking when I do that, and I feel so much more in touch with the vibrational quality of everything when I do that chanting in the morning, and I just feel so open and connected to my energy rather than the thoughts in my head or the emotions that I may be feeling. And that is a great thing to do first thing in the morning. Love is all around us at every single moment, and I really like to remember that this world is an ocean of healing love. I really, really feel that mantra, you know, and I'm just swimming through these waves of love. And sometimes waves come toward me that are an illusion. When I was doing my first yoga teacher training, we were talking about how some of the greatest yogis, one of the qualities they had was of discernment, you know, of what was real and what was fake. And I really, really appreciated that because a lot of the narratives and stories that we play out in our heads are illusions. They're not real. They are rooted in fantasy or fear. Something that I did when I was walking down the street the other day. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling bad. I was checking in with myself and saying hello to my internal landscape. I was like, how am I feeling right now? And then I decided to do a walking meditation. So I started to feel the weight of my feet on the pavement, and I started to feel the texture of the bottom of my shoes and my breath in the back of my throat. And at that point, I just naturally tilted my head up and saw the trees. It was like I was seeing them for the first time. I was looking at all the branches and how some were short and some were long, and the sunlight that was pouring through the leaves. And I just had this intuition and this thought that they were my friends. And I was like, wow, these trees are all alive. These trees are feeling. These trees are so rooted and connected to the earth right now. And I just want to love them. And I felt like the trees were loving me back just because they existed and they're giving me oxygen. And I just had this moment of awakening on the sidewalk where I just wanted to cry because I felt so supported and loved by the trees, and like I was in this with the trees, you know, that like I'm here existing and the trees are here existing and we're doing this together. And I know this may sound crazy to some people, or people are going to think I'm on drugs, which I'm absolutely not, but I'm just going to speak from my own truth. I was listening to this beautiful song. I think it's called Eastern Sun. I'll have it linked down below. And I just started serenading the trees in my head. I wasn't singing out loud. I was on the sidewalk, but I had my headphones on. And I just started singing to the trees and feeling myself bless them and be blessed by them. I was like, wow, I love you so much. Thank you so much for doing what you do. And thank you for keeping me safe. I felt so much love in that moment. And I felt like, wow, I'm really never alone because everything around me is alive and has a vibration, and I can pour love into that and I can receive love from that, especially the trees and the plants and the grass and the earth and the dirt and the ants. I'm just like, I'm so not alone. I'm never alone because I have all of nature around me supporting me, and I am nature and I'm no separate from that. But it was so beautiful to see and feel the trees like my brothers and sisters and be so filled up by that. That's another practice I've been doing where I really see my ability to bless other people and to share my own light with other people. Especially living in a city, it can be so easy to feel susceptible to other people's energies and to the chaos of New York. Even just getting off the subway and feeling like 5 people just like bump into my shoulders because they're rushing to get to their train, and I'm like, ooh, am I like, okay, I'm here. People are just bumping into me. And you can just feel like, what's the rush? What's all this chaos for? Is it really that important in the grand scheme of things? And I feel like when I am more sad, I do allow myself to just get drained by that experience of the chaos around me. But lately, every time I leave the house, I remember that I am a being of light and that I can take my light with me everywhere, and that light is shining so bright that it's hard for other people's energies to infiltrate it when my energy is extending outward more than their energy is extending, into me. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess it's just like charging my aura or seeing this bubble of protection around me. And I don't really even see it as a bubble. I just see it as like my heart and my love is surrounding me, and everyone who I encounter, I'm sending them a blessing because I'm so full. I have enough love to give out, and I'm just like, I want to bless everyone who I cross paths with and send them a prayer and send them love. And that really makes me feel protected in my own energy rather than weak and susceptible to other energies that aren't mine. And then also when you get home, knowing to shake them off. Like sometimes I'll dance and, really just shake that energy off. I've been listening to Rosalia. A lot of her songs remind me of flamenco music, which I grew up listening to, and my mom did flamenco dancing. And that makes me feel just like sexy, and it makes me feel good, and it just makes me want to move. So I shake my body and I see myself shaking all the energy off that does not belong to me. I'll light a candle, I'll say a prayer, I take a shower. Water is so powerful. Every time that I like touch water, I just feel like I'm being cleansed, and so I like to do that visualization every time I get into the shower, that I'm being cleansed, and that really helps me to feel like reset, even if I've been around a lot of people or had a lot of exchanges throughout the day. Lately, my plan of action is just definitely doing my yoga practice every single day. I personally love writing out practices for myself. I know a lot of yogis, yoga teachers like to just flow with whatever they feel during the day, which is something I do as well, but I really like to write a full practice, a full sequence for myself that has a peak pose and has everything in place how I like it, to warm up and cool down and set myself up for meditation. Because to me, the whole point of yoga is to drop out of your head into your body, into the breath, so that you can have a deeper meditation. That's like the peak of my yoga practice, is actually the meditation practice. So I've been writing out sequences for myself every week and doing them throughout the week, and then I will follow it up with a breathwork practice and then a meditation. And it makes me feel really complete, and sometimes I don't have time to do all of that in the morning, so I'll do the yoga and I'll sit in a silent meditation for however long, and then maybe I'll do the breath work later in the afternoon when I'm feeling tired or when I feel like I need a little boost. Then I'll do the breath work and drop into a visual meditation, and that has been feeling so good, using all of the tools in my tool belt, especially during this time of transition. The seasons are changing. I'm turning 22 November 3rd, and also like taking a step away from a partnership that I've been in for almost 3 years, and I'm just trying to be as present as possible with that. And I feel okay, I feel capable. It's just, always going to be a process no matter what the relationship. When someone has been part of your everyday life and now they're not anymore, it's still like it's a process, and it's all rooted in so much love, and that's why it feels like it's gonna be okay, because I'm doing this in the name of love. I just feel like there's this whole new chapter of my life that is opening up. I really feel that, and I've been writing so much to like document this time, and I want to write songs and sing music and play the piano and just explore every single outlet of creativity I've ever wanted to. And I've also been honing in on different parts of my business. Like, there's so many different things that I've been like needing to get done for literally the past year that I just haven't been, like going to the dentist or fully establishing my LLC or studying for my license and permit, and I would just put them off because I just didn't have time for them, or it didn't seem like a priority. And now I'm doing those things and it feels really, really, really damn good. Even just going to therapy again. I think that this chapter in my life is about proving to myself that I can, and that I'm worthy, and that I'm capable, and not just having people tell me, but doing things that will make me experience that on a physical level. I also feel really full right now. I'm also just having really kind conversations to myself right now and being supportive of myself, and that feels so good. Just right here in this moment, right now as I am, without having anything checked off my checklist, like I am content, and that's a really good feeling. But yeah, I guess I don't really know what else to say, except for anytime that you may be feeling anxiety, I definitely recommend dropping into the breath and extending your exhale, inhaling for 4 counts, exhaling for 8 counts. Activate the parasympathetic nervous system, get your body out of that fight or flight reaction that it's having. and be able to take a step back from that reaction or that negative coping method that you might want to be resorting to. I know it sounds like simple, but that's the breath work that has pretty much ended my anxiety. And although I talk about anxiety a lot, I don't have anxiety attacks. I don't have panic attacks like I used to. And my anxiety is really at this point just like a bit of nervousness. It's just like a little bit of being unsure and letting my mind, like I literally watch my mind go to this place that makes my heart beat fast, and then I can reel it in, I breathe and I reel it in. I'm like, okay, yeah, I knew that I was like letting myself go into that place. And so this simple inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8 breath work has literally ended my anxiety and has made it be more and more spread apart. I think took about a year for that to happen, but every time I would get a panic attack, I would do that breathing. And where I would used to have panic attacks, I really don't know how frequently because I never kept track, but it was a few times a week maybe. And then I noticed that they were once a week, and then I noticed that they were once a month, and then I noticed that they were every few months, and now I don't have full-blown panic attacks. And when I do have a little bit of anxiety, it's just like usually just rooted in loneliness or like me not being productive enough or something like that. But yeah, if you would like to try that, please do. It's really, really helpful. It's just that we identify so deeply with the thoughts and the stories in our minds when a lot of times they are just illusions, especially when we think about too far into the future, too far into the past, are things going to be okay? And we become so connected to certain outcomes or certain failures that we have, and it's like those aren't present right now at all. Like you have the ability to completely change what's going on in your reality in this moment, but instead you're just being caught up on what could go wrong or what has gone wrong. And yeah, it really is a process to start releasing the identification with the thoughts and the feelings that you're experiencing and find the discernment between what's real and what is fake. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing called life. I've just been flowing with it, just being honest with myself about how I'm feeling. Last night I did have a really intense cry because I had a really intense conversation. Crying is really such a good way to release that I forgot about until last night, because I definitely bawled my eyes out and I felt like I fully moved through all those feelings that I needed to, and that was really good. But I think this has been a very long and probably very rambly video, so I will end it here. I jumped from a lot of different topics, so I hope you don't mind. And yeah, I hope that you can consciously be aware of the version of yourself that you're creating right now, and your ability to pour so much love into every moment, and to pour love into yourself, and to choose love in every single moment. I'm taking the steps. I'm still working on it. We're all working on it. It's always going to be a journey. And I always thought, like, when I had overcome my depression when I was in 8th grade, this is why I got this tattoo on my leg that says always a silver lining. It was because I learned so much from my depression and my sadness at that point in my life that I thought that I had overcome it, and I got the tattoo, and I realized that we're always going to have a relationship with our mental health and our emotions, because things are always shifting externally and internally. And so, you know, don't be afraid if these things come back. If your sadness or if your anxiety comes back, just know that you're so capable of coping with them and speaking to them in a way that you haven't before. Be kind to those thoughts that may seem scarier or darker, and send them love, honestly. But that's what's true for me in this moment. If you would like to share what's true for you in this moment, what's going on in your reality, I would love to know. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in a video soon. Thank you for being just as you are. Bye!